So spawning down in the lower right-hand position, representing Team Evil Geniuses, we have HuK. And his opponent, up to the top left-hand spot, we've got the red Zerg player, currently 2-1 up in this best of 9 series, playing for Team Liquid, Snute.
And HuK putting down the early pylon down on the low ground here, looking kind of indicative of a Forge Fast Expand. And I wonder if, he'll look to jump on that kind of advantage to really push the aggression forward if he had seen a hatch first. But look at this, Snute, again, a 9 pool coming out.
This is very interesting play. Of course, we're going from Frost and Mount Surim, where we had very long matches, Swarm Host play up against late game Deathball Protoss, back and forth harassments, to game number 3 and now game number 4. At least one of these players looking to get very aggressive, and HuK is going to be throwing down that Forge first too. So this is getting slightly crazy now, Liaison.
Yeah, the pool is, well, 20 seconds away from finishing here, and the reaction that HuK's gonna, want is the pylon down just below his minerals on the opposite side of his probes, and a cannon in the mineral line to defend this. But, the forge itself will probably be sacrificed, the pylon down there as well, and it looks like HuK hasn't quite built that second pylon just yet. And it's going to be a little bit of a tense moment here as the probe enters the base, just as these lings should be popping out.
So again, HuK at least sees it relatively early on and is going to be thinking to himself, oh gosh, not this again. That second pylon hasn't actually been set up. He's going for it at the front. Okay, this is a brave move. He needs to throw down the second pylon there at the front as well, and needs to complete this wall off
the wall.
This is going to be close, Liaison.
He's got enough for a gateway. I wonder if a gateway does complete the wall there. I'm really not sure, but either way, the cannon should be done in time. By the time these lings do kind of trek across, there's 6 of them here. The cannon will be done. A few of them might make it in. It would be nice to kind of see him tank that with the Overlord, but he chooses not to, and there is a probe that does come down in order to basically protect. And turns out Snute, he can't really pressure this. So really nice understanding there from HuK that this wasn't a 6 pool or 7 pool, and now these lings, they're going to try and come around the back.
And coming in this back route is obviously a nice little option, but as any Zerg player will know, back from the days where, of course, there were rocks blocking your third hatch, rocks take a long time to die to nothing but Zerglings, so HuK has actually quite a while to deal with this. But if the lings are able to get into the base, what can you do? Because the gateway isn't done yet, it's only really just got started. So there's not going to be a Zealot, there's not going to be a Mothership Core, the only Photon Cannon is at the natural base. It gets really tough.
Yeah, and I mean, looking at HuK's vision right now, he actually has no idea this is going on, and he's, again, protected at the front. Sure, no problem, but, aside from that, it's going to be difficult. That the debris is, down to 600 hit points and plummeting here. Snute looking to be taking a third base behind this. He hasn't even taken any gases yet, so he's kind of droning up behind this. He's looking to save himself an opportunity to add on aggression with some larvae being banked up, but as the Nexus finishes, the debris is falling, and down it's going to go.
HuK only just now realizing those rocks are going down at the last possible second he could have done. Ling's now streaming in. Probes going to try and hug up onto that cannon. Chrono Boost being spent on the Zealot. But this is still really tough times. For HuK, he's gonna almost definitely lose a good few probes, although good micro of them. Grabs us around on a couple of those lings, only losing 3 workers so far. The Zealot comes in, gonna be able to hopefully clean up the rest of those lings for HuK, but the back of his natural base is now exposed, it's now open, so more units can come flooding through.
Yeah, but that was really a pretty good hold from HuK. Really nice probe micro there, getting favorable surrounds on these small pockets of lings, losing a couple of workers here, maybe more than he should have, but, Snute behind this, continuing to drone up, and yes, that back base is open. He's building a pylon there for vision, and again, because his front is so secure at the moment, it's actually completely walled off, solid wall. He was probably planning to go out the back eventually anyway.
So HuK at the moment didn't lose too much there. 7 workers going down is a bit of a pain, but overall he's only down by 2 probes now. The third base for Snute is now established. It's getting a queen up, and all of the lava being spent into droning now for the Liquid Zerg.
And Snute just now taking his gases at the 7-10 mark, getting more queens out as well. And, well, he's playing this, I think, quite intelligently at the moment. He knows that there isn't a huge opportunity for aggression for HuK because of that damage. But HuK going for that 4-gate aggression off of 2 bases again. And Snute, who kind of could run into a similar problem to what we saw in Alterzim, where not only is he not going to have, well, speed done just yet, but his Roach Warren doesn't look like it's on the way or anytime soon, as there are 10 Lings coming out to try and deal with the Stalker and a few Zealots, but Snute's going to have to read into this quickly.
Oh no, the Stalker gets surrounded by the drones. They're going to be able to get the kill there, and that's a really important pick-off right now for Snute. Bit of miscontrol there from HuK. His 2 Zealots, though, trying to get the kill on the Queen backing away, but does end up falling. But still, 2 Zealots, a Stalker for 1 Queen and 3 drones. Not the greatest trade for HuK there.
And the Proxy Pylon's finishing up the Roach Warren, well, 10 seconds into building as well. The Robo coming down, though, for HuK behind this, so we do see a follow-up quite a bit faster than we may have seen in that previous game, but 4 Zealots do warp in on that right-hand side, looking like they've got eyes for the 3rd base, just as a Ling run by looks to sneak on through on that right side. Nothing but a sentry there to help him defend, and he did use that warp in offensively here. He's going to have to try to put on pressure and at the same time defend back home. The Lings do head on back. They are slow Lings. Speed still a minute away, and now, oh, a nice time warp there on the Mothership Core. It is being targeted by the Queen, but it'll get surrounded here by the Zealots, and it's deja vu all over again here.
These Zealots are doing a lot of damage. Different to the previous game is the Roach One was a lot later, and that's causing some problems for Snute. His 3rd hatch is going to be in quite substantial problems, especially with more warp-ins coming in. There is 1 pylon at the front, but another one further back for HuK, meaning that he will still have the option to warp in even if that pylon dies, and Snute is kind of banking on that being the only pylon, trying to engage upon it, prevent additional warp-ins, but it's not going to be enough. The Mothership Core waiting to finish off that hatchery. Has HuK pulled away too soon with those Zealots? He did not confirm the kill on that hatch. Needs to get that down and should now be able to, as all of the Lings pulling away.
Yeah, this is really interesting play here from HuK. He's not, he almost feels like, it almost feels like he knows that hatch is dead. He just needs to tickle it a few more times, and that's what he's going to do now. Finally does solidify that hatch going down. Another Queen falls, which is now, well, the 4th Queen that's fallen, down to 2 Queens, both fighting right here. Is Snute 2 more on the way right now, but our Immortals are coming out, and it looks like HuK is very calmly making himself, well, putting himself in a position to go for an Immortal Sentry follow-up.
And it's going to be really tough to hold an Immortal Sentry follow-up, not only because he's not got the income from that 3rd base, but he doesn't have the production from it. So overall, he's not going to be able to pump out enough units, most likely, in order to hold this. The overall army supply is currently in Snute's favor, but he's droning, he's making overlords due to obviously needing to get that supply up. This is a really tough spot for Snute, and HuK, this game just really falling in his favor currently.
Yeah, and it's not necessarily about the army supply here, Mattles. It's about the quality of that army. If you look at it, it's Lings and it's slow Roaches right now. Immortals, 3 of them out on the field. Sentries to help kind of chop up those Lings. The Immortals to deal with the Roaches, and I'm sure a few weapons of Zealots to come in as well. The Mothership Core survives by that pylon that's also surviving. The 3rd base coming down for HuK behind this. I'm not sure if he's going to need it.
He's moving out, and as you said, I don't think he's going to need this because he's just doing so much in terms of this pressure, this Immortal Sentry play. The pylon up on this high ground, I pointed out as he was originally warping in the Zealots, is still there. It's still that point of additional production coming in across the map for HuK at the moment. The 1+ side for Snute, he's got a heck of a lot of Roaches. Already sitting at a grand total of 34, 2 more on the way, and I'm sure more are going to be following that up. But just look at the Sentry count, Liaison.
Yeah, I wish that I thought 34 Roaches was enough here to go with. Well, there's just 2 Lings now, and you look at all these Immortals, you look at the 15 Sentries that are with this army right now. It's going to be, well, it's going to be tough. This 3rd base forfeited. It looks like a counterattack seems to be Snute's, at least, well, last hope here. An Immortal waits patiently on the back end with some Sentries as well to defend. The 3rd base falls, and HuK, well, he's going to be forced to make a decision kind of congregating around the Mothership Core if he wants to recall. It looks like that Nexus will be done in time for him to recall to it if he wants to.
It would be a brave move recalling to that Nexus, but not actually going to recall at all, leaving a couple of sentries and a single Immortal to continue on the pressure while pulling back the rest of his units. There's a lot of roaches here, and I hope for HuK's sake he hasn't underestimated just how much firepower Snute has at his disposal across the map.
Yeah, well, there are two Immortals here to help HuK kind of push on forward here. The roaches look like they're going to go for the front. There is an Immortal here to greet them. They look to try to push in and take it down in one fell swoop. It's not going to happen. The force field's here pretty good for the EG Protoss, and he is picking apart these roaches. A huge clump of about 10 to 15 roaches trapped inside, and the power of the force field, the power of Immortals against roaches pushes HuK into, well, very soon the supply lead, but he continues to be in an awesome position here. His third base did fall, but again, how in the world is Snute supposed to deal with this army?
It's going to be nigh on impossible. He's got some Hydralisks, and they're really going to be useful, but I can't help but feel that Snute is currently in the Titanic with a bucket, and it's not going too well for him, because he may buy himself a bit of time, he may be able to fend off this push, but look at what he's got behind it. His third hatch was taken out again. He's only just rebuilding it now. His drone count is at 53. He's really struggling to go long-term in this game, unless he gets a crushing victory in this next engagement.
Yeah, the drones pulled off the line here. The force fields try to block off a lot of the roaches. They succeed. And again, these drones now trapped on the wrong side of the force fields. Down they go, down below 40 drones goes Snute, up by, well, almost 20 workers here, and up about 10 supply is HuK. He's got +2 attack with this army, which is just going to prove invaluable as he continues to push forward. And now, although Snute is finishing up that third base once again, he's got no workers to mine from it.
No, 34 drones is nowhere near enough to support this level of production from Snute. We can already see that reflected in his balance of his bank. Really struggling for the gas income. He's not mining pretty much any gas from his natural base, so this Roach Hydra production cannot continue. Add in the fact that HuK now has re-established his third base and has got an incredibly powerful composition, incorporating what is now 6 Immortals. Snute has got to just find a bit of a miracle here.
And he's trying, or thought about trying, by way of the more conventional entrance into the natural base here. Now he comes towards the third, and he's going to try and push in. It's not, I don't think, going to end well here in Mattles. The photon overcharge goes down. Force fields trap another clump of roaches here. And as you mentioned, just 6 Immortals reigning supreme here on this map right now. HuK looking like he's going to dice up this army pretty quickly. But now the Hydras, well, Hydras still do quite well against this. And HuK going for, I think, the perfect response, which is Storm.
The thing is, HuK going for that Storm, as you said, it's a great response to it, but Snute, he's crashing up against a wall at the moment. He can't break this third base. The probe count is massively in favor of HuK, who's got a much higher, 3 times higher gas income than his Zerg opponent right now. Things are just looking so good for him.
Yeah, and Snute's just stuck on 34 probes. I mean, or drones, excuse me. He's been there for a while since he pulled those drones, and he's continuing to try and make units, trying to push forward here. This is his last kind of stand here. He can't do, well, just crippling damage to the Protoss player HuK. He's going to be down in the series.
HuK just happy to sit back here, turtle up. Losing those gateways isn't the biggest loss for him. He wants Snute to commit his army forward so he can go for some more of those great force fields that he's already done in this game repeatedly. The sentry's moving forward, and Snute is acutely aware that that could spell the end of his army if they get down in a good spot. The Mothership Core is only 10 energy away from a photon overcharge as well.
And more importantly, maybe a time warp here to trap this army for good. The Colossi, so important with this composition, just shredding these Hydras. Snute taps out. HuK takes the game and evens up the series.